Well, hello, and welcome to Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast, episode 4. A little change of plans. We're still going to cover Mikaal Tomas, the Starman, first issue special number 12, who I called the Disco Starman. But we're not going to cover anything else. After reviewing material that he is in, even though there is a flashback that takes place between this issue and when he reappears in Robinson Harris's Starman, I've decided to put that to the side until a certain point during the run, and then we will jump to his membership in the Justice League, because that's kind of his next adventure, other than the Starman that is in Starman Volume 2. But I don't know when that will be. I will take a break from him until I think we have enough knowledge of Mikaal that we can look at his future, so as it were. So this week, we're just going to cover first issue special, number 12, introducing the Starman. As a slight verification, we're going to cover this issue in detail, but when I get to the time in my Danger Street series, I will probably not. So hopefully you're listening to that, and great. And if you're listening to that, I hope you have jumped back and listened to this so you can get the full thing about this Starman. But let's get started, okay? Let me pull up the Grand Comic Database page for this comic. It is first issue special number 12 from DC in 1975. On sale date, December 23rd, 1975, and the cover date is, I'm looking right at it, March. So it would be March of 1976. We're at that 3-mark thing where the cover date was 3 months in the future. This comic is, this cover is Joe Kubert, pencil and ink, Tatiana Wood colors, and Gaspar Saladino letters. And it is a beautiful Joe Kubert picture of Starman flying over I forget what city he's in. New York. That's right. He's in New York. When we talk about the comic, there's something that struck me about the 70s. More so in other ways. It says, he has come to save the earth or destroy it, ? It's a great cover. I like the logo of this Starman logo. It's very 70s. It's like Starman in this big arc with stars. And I've already posted this on the interwebs. But that's another point. So this comic was written by Gerry Conway. Woohoo. Penciler Mike Vosberg, who... I like Mike Vosberg. He did some Secret Society supervillains, and when I reread them recently, I went, "Wow, you're really good. You're really good." He's good on this. He does a couple of books, a couple of the comics in first issue special. But we'll talk a little bit about what I think of this. Mike Royer inks, which is good. He inked Kirby a lot when I was a kid, and letters from Mark Ink. And this says they don't know the colorist. So let us get to. If they have a decent synopsis, it's a 1-sentence synopsis. Starman must face Turin Ka, who is sent to execute him. The story of how Starman came to Earth is told. And Starman first name is Mikaal, Mikaal Tomas. He is let's look at what I've found about him in other sites, because this is this is more about the comic. Let's talk about Mikaal Tomas. Mikaal Tomas is a creation of Gerry Conway, and he is an alien who has traveled to Earth to help conquer it, but instead he turns against his warlike people and comes to the defense of the human race. Very superior thing. He has blue skin, of course. He has a medallion containing a sonic crystal around his neck. He flies. And what we find out later in other runs is that he is... Well, Robinson does a Justice League run, and he's a member, him and his new best friend, Congarilla, which we will get to. But he is from the same planet as Shadow Girl, or the same solar system as Shadow Girl, and hence the blue skin. Right, well, let's just kind of go through the comic. It's a little bit... There's a great, and it's in the trade, and I like it, and I posted it. But there's the story behind the story, and it's Gerry Conway, I assume, talking about why this character, where his roots are, and other things. And just a little bit about that. And it's really weird because it mentions comics that are coming up. Like the final issue of first issue special was the first issue of Gerry Conway's New Gods, which I love, which is the first New Gods I read. But they also talk about this new character, Starfire, an unusual lady who'll be debuting in her own sword and sorcery magazine. And I thought Corey from Team Dinosaur. Oh no, this is way before that. But I thought that was kind of cool. The splash page is great. It's Mike Vosberg and Mike Royer's art is really, really good. I'm surprised. I didn't remember this comic very fondly. I mean, honestly, I have not read it since maybe the early 80s. Maybe when I was flipping through the books. I remember reading it when it came out. And I remember when Starman was coming out, I didn't know where my copy was of it, so I have not read it until I rebought the trade, the hardcover, with all the first issue specials in it. And I read it when I got it because I wanted to jump ahead to it. I read it again like a week ago, and then I read it again kind of off and on today on the bus and at work. It is a much better comic than I remembered it. It is still pretty much a little throwaway setup comic for something that never got set up until Robinson, in his infinite wisdom, kind of said this is one of the Starmen and he was going to be a big part of the book. And we're going to get to his story first. His story is the second story in the Starman. It's the second arc. It's amazing. And it's what sold me on the series. Literally. I mean, I enjoyed before, but the 4 or 5 issues that make up the arc where he joins that book are just amazing. So let's get back to this comic, though. So it's him. He's flying. It's over New York. There's a spaceship crashing into a building by the Hudson River. It's in the North Bronx. So I don't know. My dad's from Brooklyn, and I don't know the other boroughs. Except I've been to Manhattan. I've been to Manhattan a few times, but I don't think I've ever been to the Bronx. But he's flying, and he's got this. I like this costume. It's a very mid-70s costume. Purple leggings with white kind of stripes that look like, instead of laces. He's got long purple opera gloves with some white trim. The bodice part from his, which would be the over part of the unitard, is white, and he's got that sonic medallion around his neck. So it's not bad. He's got red hair and this pale blue, almost Kree blue skull. Kree blue skin, as in the Kree from the Kree Skrull War. And then we see him, next chapter 1 is the alien among us. He's landing in a street, and 3 guys see him, and some of this dialogue's great. Hey, Ernie, you see that? I see it. I just don't believe it. That guy must be one of them spaceman the government sent to the moon. It is really just really bad faux New York kind of dialogue. It's funny. And then one of the guys goes, yeah, and I always had a grudge against those space fellas ever since I read in the newspaper how the space stuff cheated folks on welfare. And then they mug him for his money. It's really, it's kind of bad. I'm reading it now, but it's silly. It's fine. It's silly. It's really kind of funny in a way. Then he defends himself and he's talking alien gibberish. He knocks one guy out. He knocks them all out. One of them stabs him and he just kind of pulls the blade from his side. The next thing we see are these 3 gentlemen. It's the mayor. It's the chief inspector, the mayor, and this general are checking out this Colonel Magruder, USA Air Force. They're checking out the smashed spaceship when the spaceship explodes and it kills the chief. And the O'Donnell, the cop, who I thought was Jason Blood. He looks a little like Jason Blood. Is upset. And the next thing we see is Starman breaks into Clay's record store where Frank Clay pulls a gun on him, but Starman buzzes him. It makes the gun vanish, which is okay. Sonic makes things disappear. And then he passes out, and then he thinks Frank's a good guy. He thinks this guy doesn't need to be the police call him. He needs just a bed. So he takes him upstairs. Then we cut away to the secret base on the moon, where more of his people are having an argument and slapping each other around. One is yelling imbecilic fuel. You were to execute the traitor, not let him go. And this guy is called Master Comac. He looks like Kojak, except he's got a pencil mustache, but he's bald and he's blue. He has beams come out of his eye, and he zaps the guy who let Starman get away, Michael get away. And Lady Cormel is the leader, or she's just hanging around. And then the last guy we meet is the first guardsman of the World Stone, Turin Ka. And he's this big bad dude who's going to go looking for Michael. He picks up a table and smushes it. Okay. And that's the end of chapter 2. Or end of chapter 1. Chapter 2 is the aliens still argue. Oh, no, it's a flashback. It's Michael's having a dream. And he's remembering Lissa, his girlfriend or partner. And it's when she's going to take the shuttlecraft to warn them. And Michael's trying to talk her out of it. And he's like, he's worried. He's telling her, you'll be killed. And she goes, at least I'll die, do it for a worthwhile cause. As she runs past one of the guards, kills her. Michael loses it, beats the crap out of him. He's arrested and brought before the tribunal. And, he's pissed. And he's going to take on his girlfriend's, Lissa's cause. And as they're walking him off to execution, he beats up 2 of the guards, laser beams his shackles off, and that's when he wakes up. And Frank and Ruth, who live above their record store, are talking to him, but he learns English. Once he hears that they're talking English, he remembers he knows English. And he explains they'd learned it because they were going to invade. He shares some of it. But he and Frank have a little heart-to-heart, and he's grateful, and then he flies off. And then it cuts away to Sergeant O'Connell and Colonel Magruder, and they're talking about the alien, and they have found another ship, and it is intact, and that is Turin Ka's ship, and he's kind of watching him, but he's... then we cut back to we're in the West 40s in Manhattan, and Michael is looking around, and that's when he is attacked by the first guardsman of the World Stone, Turin Ka, and they're battling, and they're just about to fight, and the end. So it was a setup. It's a very simple comic book. It's a very simple origin story. I can see why it didn't really go anywhere. I don't think it's just they were trying stuff out, and a lot didn't stick. There was a lot of changes going on in comics in the mid '70s, and DC tried stuff. I like the idea, and especially as I'm reading these first issue specials again, I like the idea that they have a tryout book. I wish we had more tryout books. But that's Michael until he is not seen again in comics until Starman. And I'm not going to say what happens because we're going to do that. That's in about 4 or 5 weeks. We'll start that story. But that's pretty much it for him. I don't want to give it away. I like this comic. It's interesting. The best thing about it, I think, is the Mike Vosberg, Mike Royer art. I think that's the best part of it. And it's a good reprint in here, so it's good. All right, folks, that's it. It's just going to be a quick one. We'll be back with Adventure Comics 64 and Starman Volume 2, Number 2 in a week. And more to come. Don't forget to check out every Thursday My Legion Adventure. We're up in the sweet spot. We're about to do Adventure Comics 352 and 353, the introduction of the Fatal Five. And I didn't have a weekend episode because work's crazy this week. We're short, and I keep getting called in. And so I didn't do Danger Street 3 first issue special 3, so I will probably do that. And digitally, today came out issue 4 of Stargirl, The Lost Children. So you got that to look forward to, too. Also, I'm going to I'm going to pick an FF story and do that for one of the weekend episodes because I'm just in the mood. So, as always, Until we're back, be smart, be safe, be kind to one another. That's Monkey meowing. Say be kind to everyone. And read some comics. Right, Monkey?